Welcome to Lesson 4. Today is our last video lecture for Unit 1. So hopefully you've been getting the hang of these video lectures. Hopefully they've been useful to you. I know we've probably been talking about them in class for ways that I can maybe help you out with these. Again, if you ever have any questions, please let me know. Today we're going to take a look at the limb regions. So yesterday we took a look at the head and torso regions, the name we have for those. Today we're going to look at the arms and the legs. So our anatomical regions, you can see here I have them all over. The ones that we talked about yesterday I do have struck out, but we're going to start with the arm. So over on the right hand side, at the very top right, you can see the point of the shoulder. This is going to be right here. This is known as the acromial region. So the point of the shoulder, this is where the humerus is going to meet the scapula, is going to meet the clavicle. All of this is going to be the point of your shoulder. So think football players, if they aren't wrapping up like they're supposed to be, a lot of them will kind of lead with the shoulder like that. They are leading with that acromial region. And then on the inside here is the axillary region. This is going to be the armpit region. Easy way to remember it. What do middle school boys like to spray in their armpits? Axe. So this is going to be the axillary region. Moving down, the entire arm and especially the upper arm region, we like to call the brachial region. So here, this is where your triceps brachii on the backside here, that tricep muscle, and the biceps brachii sitting on the anterior side here. Those muscles have that brachii as the second part of their name because they sit in the brachial region here. We move down on the inside of your elbow here. This is the anticubital region. So when you bend your elbow, that part that basically gets hidden is the anticubital region. So that's going to be right in here on your arm. On the back side of your elbow, this is the olecranon region. So this is the point of your elbow. Right in here is where if you hit your funny bone and your arm goes numb, you hit a nerve that runs through your olecranon region. That is the point of the elbow region. We come on down here. We have the antibrachial region. So named because it's the anterior brachial region. In anatomical position, it's not really anterior. We just call it the anterior brachial region, but we abbreviate it, or we shortened it to the antibrachial region, but that is your forearm region. So this is where you're going to have the radius and the ulna bones of your forearm here. Those are both part of the antibrachial region. We keep going down here. Your carpal region is going to be your wrist. You probably know or you've heard of carpal tunnel. That occurs when people get inflammation of the tendons that run from the forearm to the hand. But they get inflammation in this wrist as it runs through all these wrist bones that sit right here. This is the carpal region. Then we get down to the hand here. We have the palmar region. Pretty simple. It's the palm of the hand here. And then we have all of your fingers here. Collectively, your fingers are going to make up the digital region or the phalangeal region. I've heard it used both ways. This image here has digital for your fingers, but if you want to use phalangeal, that is acceptable. It's a little harder to spell though. Over here though, we do have the Pollux region. That is your thumb. So if I ever ask you for a polluxometer, I'm wanting a thumb. Thumbs up, thumbs down. How are you doing? That is the Pollux region. Moving over, let's see, what do I have here? The coxal region. We move to our lower limb. We have the coxal region. That is your hips. So if you can feel that hip bone on the side there, you can feel where that coxal region runs. That is the iliac crest of the ilium bone that runs along here. But that is the coxal region. You can actually feel all the way down sometimes to the point of your femur right here. But then we have the inguinal region. Inguinal is going to refer to the groin region. Now, groin typically a lot of people will confuse with the genitalia. The groin region is actually where the leg meets the torso. And this image does a really, really good job of pointing out where this leg is meeting with the torso and pointing it out as the inguinal region right here. We keep going down. You have the pubic region. That's going to be where the genitalia sit. It is also named because, kind of tough to tell, but where your right and left hip bones meet, there is a bunch of cartilage in the middle here known as the pubic symphysis that sits in the pubic region. We move down here to the leg. Obviously, you have this giant bone here, the femur, that is going to make up the femoral region. Those names are related. They got named after one another. I'm not sure which came first, but you do have the femur bone in the femoral region. You keep going down. You get to the kneecap here, and I'm not sure if you can see this kneecap here. But the kneecap, scientific name is the patella. So we call this the patellar region in this kneecap region. Sticking on the front side here, the lower leg is known as the crural region. So this is where your tibia as well as your fibula is going to sit. See if I can turn Bart around here so you can see. You do have one big tibia bone here and then one small fibula bone on the lateral side of the crural region. So that is altogether the crural region. We can break this down. You have the tibia on the inside here. We can also refer to this side of the leg as the fibular region. We don't usually hear that a whole lot. Usually we're either referring to the whole thing as the crural region, or we might be talking only about the fibula bone on the lateral side here. We move down to the foot. The entire foot is known as the pedal region. So you think we are bipedal organisms. We walk on 2 feet. When you are riding a bike, you push the pedals with your feet. This is the pedal region, the entire foot. And it can be broken down into the tarsal region, which is your ankle. You have a big old tarsus bone here, big old calcaneus bone here. All of this is the tarsal region, everything part of your ankle, very analogous to the wrist. And then the rest of it is going to be our digital region with our toes here. Again, digital region can refer to both the hand or the fingers and the toes. So sometimes you might want to specify which is which because they do have the same name. Your big toe is known as the hallux. So just like your thumb is known as your pollux, the hallux gets its own special name for being your big toe. On the dorsal side here, flip Bart around. See how flexible he is this direction. You have the gluteal region. That is going to refer to your gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, gluteus minimus, all sets of muscles that sit on the back side here. One thing I forgot to mention, the entire hand is known as the Manus region. That's where we get the word manual. Somebody that works with their hands a lot does a lot of manual labor. So that's why we call this the Manus region. And it can refer to the entire hand. We do have the Perineal Region. That is the area between the anus and the external genitalia. Kind of tough to tell on Bart here. We already talked about the femoral. The Popliteal Region is going to be the back of the knee. I'm not sure how well I can show it on Bart here, but the back of the knee, remember the front side with that kneecap was the Patellar Region. The back side is the popliteal or popliteal. I have heard it both ways. I'm not sure on this one which one is correct. Popliteal or popliteal region is that back of the knee. You have the sural region, going to refer to the calf region. So just like curl was the front side, anterior side, sural is going to be the posterior side. We don't really hear curl and sural a whole lot, especially in this class. And we might not mention those words outside of this unit in this class. And really, you'd have to be in some pretty advanced classes to start hearing those words pop back up again. As I said, The tarsal region is going to be the ankle bone here. One of the bones that's part of this region is the calcaneus, your heel bone, big giant bone on the back of your foot here. It does get its own region known as the calcaneal region. It is famous for being the bone that attaches to the Achilles tendon. And then we have the bottom of the foot here. This is the plantar region. When we go through joint movements, we'll talk about plantar flexion. That is going to be flexion of the bottom of the foot. And what happens is you end up standing on your toes when you plantar flex. But the plantar region is the bottom of the foot. So that was a really brief rundown of the limb regions, both the upper limb and the lower limb. I know it says upper extremity, lower extremity. We don't really use those words a whole lot. Those are just ways that you can kind of bracket those. But once again, make sure you have these down. Make sure spelling is correct because you will need spelling. The example I give, the ilium bone of the hip here. I know we haven't talked about names of bones yet. But ilium bone is spelled different than a section of your small intestine known as the ilium. One is I-L-I-U-M, the other is I-L-E-U-M. So if you get those spellings wrong, somebody could be talking about this bone while the other person is talking about the digestive organs, specifically that first region of the small intestine. So spelling is very important, so make sure you're practicing these. You can quiz one another, post some questions in the updates on Schoology, or let me know if you have any questions.